emotions. More.
You're scared. You'll actually show a human emotion. You're not the funny one. Why didn't you fight back? You're not gonna look me in the eye and tell me nothing we've been doing together meant anything to you, because I know that's not true.
Just stop looking. God, you look stupid.
Hatred. One of the most powerful and dangerous human emotions is hatred. It can lead to the destruction of others, but just as dangerously, it can lead to the destruction of oneself. And no one in the Amazing Digital Circus is a bigger example of this than Jax. Episode 6 has quickly become one of my favorite episodes of this show so far, and has also made Jax into one of mine and many others' favorite characters. Yet, that is not the case for everyone. While no doubt Jax is a fan favorite, he's also equally the most hated character in the show. A lot of times both at the same time, making him by far, for better or worse, the most popular character in the show. But why is that? How can a character that's so hated be such a fan favorite at the same time? There's plenty of evil characters in the media that are fan favorites, but none have been done quite like Jax. It takes a lot of confidence in your writing to make a character this much of an asshole, your favorite no less. Yet so far, Gooseworx has pulled this off masterfully, and has created one of the most interesting, likable evil characters in fiction. And yes, make no mistake, Jax is unquestionably evil. Not in a super sinister way, but his actions in the digital circus are definitely not justifiable and deserve reprimanding. But why do we love Jax so much? Despite his clear abuse of the rest of the cast, what makes him so popular among fans? Well, the answer is very simple. He's voiced by Michael Kovac.
And what can you do, my effeminate fellow?
I can suck your dick.
No, but seriously, it's because he's the funny one. Now, of course, we now know his funny man persona is a load of BS to hide his true feelings, but before we learn anything about the cast, he was at the center of much of the show's comedy. He's generally the one helping move the plot forward and creating hilarious, albeit sadistic scenarios. It's not till later episodes, however, when the show's genius really shines. Before episode 3, everyone was just as Jax said, a bunch of archetypes. We didn't know much about any of these characters, or the very real problems they're each going through. Many of the show's jokes were played for laughs at the expense of the cast, but as we got deeper into the show, we start to realize that these characters are indeed real people that are facing very real personal problems, creating strong connections with the audience, including Jax. That being said, Jax's journey and character development was an interesting one moving beyond the pilot. Jax has gotten a lot of backlash in episode 2 as people start to realize how much of an asshole he really was, from tossing Pomni out of the truck to abusing Gangle and possibly starting a Ken genocide. He clearly was not a good person. But he started getting a bit of a following again starting episode 4, where we finally see his funny man persona begin to crack, once he's placed in a more grounded environment where he's forced to do menial labor and can't unleash his funny man persona, and has to succumb to this eerily real work environment that starts to reveal signs of the real Jax, creating an air of mystery and allure, and a small bit of hope for him. He's also the most relatable character in this episode, and anyone who's worked a minimum wage job, myself included, knows exactly what kind of drain it can have on your mental state. We see even more of his mask cracked in episode 5, where we get a small idea of his past, giving us more hope that there is a good person under there who needs help. He even begins to soften up around Pomni and creates a bond with her. However, we also see just how toxic he really is. Jax is always the one playing jokes at the expense of others, but once he gets a taste of his own medicine, he completely loses it, to the surprise of even some of the rest of the cast. In the next episode, his mask does finally crack open. However, what's revealed is not pretty. It's here in episode 6 that we get an even deeper dive into Jax's psyche, as he breaks down so hard he has to actively stop and reapply his mask. And of course, this episode is the reason why we've been talking about him in the first place. This all helps create amazing synergy with Pomni. Pomni in many ways represents the audience and how they see the circus and these characters. It's through her eyes that we're able to look deeper into these characters and really start to connect with them, the same way she connects with them, Jax included. One of my favorite interactions from these two is in episode 4, when Jax asks Pomni how she's doing, to which she first replies naturally, till she realizes it's Jax asking her and begins to tread more cautiously. It's a short 10-second exchange, but it tells so much about both these characters and their current relationship. I love this kind of storytelling. Not much needs to be said here, just good visuals and character reactions. It's also why Jax and her fight in episode 6 felt so real and emotionally raw. Pomni saw the exact same Jax the audience did. She got those same hints of humanity and hurt that we did. So, naturally, we're feeling what Pomni is feeling. That there's more to this guy and that he needs a friend. After all, they're all stuck in the circus together. However, once Jax pushes her away, our feelings change to confusion, anger, heartbreak, and betrayal. Jax didn't just stab Pomni in the back, he also stabbed the entire audience in the back. But even after all that, why is this complete asshole still so popular? Well, for starters, as I said earlier, there's a huge air of mystery to him. A lot of his backstory is still unknown, and of course, naturally, we want to know more about that. For almost everyone else in the cast, we got a very good idea of their backstory and who they are. But so far, we only gotten tidbits of Jax and his past. A past that is clearly the reason to who he is today. But I think the real reason why he's so popular is because there is some hope for him that he is good. Now, I'm not saying that Jax, as of right now, is a good person, or even was one in the past, but people do love redemption stories. Zuko, Megamind, Vegeta, Piccolo. We enjoy watching characters overcome trials. But even more so, we enjoy watching characters overcome themselves, because it helps strengthen the idea that anyone can change for the better and make a difference. Jax is no different. He's clearly in pain and losing control of his life, lost and confused of feeling a lot of us have gone through, and he wants to break free but is scared to do so. The type of person that really needs a hug despite pushing them away. Another huge aspect of Jax's popularity is what he does for the rest of the cast. Because of him, the cast is able to grow and give us some of the show's most powerful moments. I mentioned earlier how Jax completely loses his cool with the maid prank, but this moment is more than just a funny moment, and more than just a breaking down of Jax. This, right here, is a turning point for Gangle, and her beginning to stand up to her abuser. While she already tried this in the previous episode, it didn't work out the way she thought it would, and it only fed into her depression. This prank, however, brought smiles to both her and her friend Zooble. This first step all leads to some of Gangle's best moments, from standing up to Jax, getting advice from Zooble, and being able to be happy without the need of a mask. Speaking of Zooble, Jax is a foil for them as well. Neither of these two are happy about themselves, but while Zooble copes by avoiding the BS adventures altogether and keeping things grounded, Jax embraces the chaos and tries to pretend he and everyone else is something they're not. Zooble's speech to Gangle is only made more effective by the fact it comes directly after Jax's speech to Pomni. It's no coincidence that Zooble is Gangle's savior while Jax is her abuser. These two are two sides of the same coin. Same struggle, different solutions. Rakata is another character that's able to grow thanks to Jax. It's because of Jax getting so close to Pomni that she's forced to self-reflect and have a moment with Kinger. Jax is a manifestation of these characters' worst fears, and it's something they must face to overcome, and they are overcoming. But even more than that, the reason for his popularity is what he represents. Jax and his mindset is the antithesis to the cast and the show's message. He has gone so far in denial, he has dehumanized the rest of the cast in order to push them away easier. Yet, while he stays troubled and in pain, the rest of the cast has slowly started to regain a sense of normality. While Jax is struggling to grow, that same struggle to grow makes all the other characters' struggles that much more triumphant. It's living proof that Jax and his philosophy is wrong, and that we're all able to overcome our inner demons in order to make our daily lives just that little bit better. It creates a sense of hope and camaraderie, a sense that we're glad to see and feel in these characters, and we want Jax to have that exact same feeling, because if he can change, if the whole circus can change, then we all can change. But there's a sad and dark truth to Jax's toxicity. One that some of us, myself included, have been through. Jax doesn't want help. I've had friends with emotional issues and destructive tendencies, and I have tried to help them multiple times, sometimes at the cost of my own happiness. But in the end, there is only so much I can do. They didn't want my help. Despite how much I tried, all they did was push me away. There's this wonderful motif in episode 6 of The Amazing Digital Circus about helping yourself, not having to be the one to shoulder all the pain in a relationship. And right now, Jax is the embodiment of why those ideas are so important. He's in desperate need of help, but unless he makes the choice to open up and allow others in to build meaningful relationships, he'll never be happy. And it's not fair for us to have to push so hard just for another's happiness. Hatred and toxicity does not have to be the answer. Sure, we may face constant struggles, sometimes outer, other times inner, but it's not a struggle we have to face alone. But again, we have to make that choice. It's okay to want to help others, but there's only so much we can do on our own. They have to make the choice to also want to be helped. Unfortunately, we're not always able to help those close to us. But it doesn't mean that we should give up on others, or not let ourselves be helped by others. And hopefully, Jax will come to realize that. Michael said that episode 7 is gonna piss off a lot of people, and I can't help but both be excited for that, but also extremely anxious about that statement. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please like and subscribe. I want to do more videos of the show, and I will definitely be doing a video covering Jax's full character once the show's over. So, make sure you're subscribed, and turn that bell icon on so you can be the first ones to see it when it drops. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.